Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the final video of the day, and it's probably going to be a long one. Alright, so, that being said, let's get directly into it, because I do not want to go too long into the introduction here, because it's a very long one. Alright, Twitter Files, Part 7, the FBI and the Hunter Biden laptop. How the FBI and the intelligence community discredited factual information about Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings both after and before the New York Post revealed the contents of his laptop on October 14th. In Twitter File 6, we saw the FBI relentlessly seek to exercise influence over Twitter, including cover its content, its users, and its data. In Twitter File 7, we represent evidence pointing to an organized effort by representatives of the intelligence community, IC, and aimed at senior executives at news and social media companies to discredit leaked information about Hunter Biden before and after it was published. The story begins in December 2019 when a Delaware computer store owner named John Paul Mac Isaac contacts the FBI about a laptop that Hunter Biden had left with him. A document on December 9th, 2019, the FBI issues a subpoena for and takes Hunter Biden's laptop. By August 2020, Mac Isaac still had not heard back from the FBI, even though he had discovered evidence of criminal activity, and so he emails Rudy Giuliani, who was under FBI and intelligence surveillance at the time. In early October, Giuliani gives to the New York Post. Shortly before 7 p.m. ET on October 13th, Hunter Biden's lawyer, George Messiers, emails JP Mac Isaac. Hunter and Messiers had just learned from the New York Post that its story about the laptop would be published the next day. Goes on, John Paul, thank you for speaking with me tonight. As I indicated, I'm a lawyer for Hunter Biden, and I appreciate you reviewing your records on this matter. Thank you, George S. Myers. At 9:22 p.m. ET, FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan sends 10 documents to Twitter's then head to site Integrity Real Roth through Teleporter, through Teleporter, a one-way communication channel from FBI to Twitter. The next day, the October 14, 2020, the New York Post runs this explosive story revealing the business dealings of President Joe Biden's son Hunter. Every single fact in it was accurate. And yet, within hours, Twitter and the social media companies censored the New York Post article, preventing it from spreading, and more importantly, undermining its credibility in the minds of many Americans. Why is that? What exactly happened? On December 2nd, Matt Taibbi described the debate inside Twitter over his decision to censor a wholly accurate article. Since then, we have discovered new info that points to an organized effort by the intel community to influence Twitter and other platforms. First, it's important to understand that Hunter Biden earned tens of millions of dollars in contracts with foreign businesses, including ones linked to China governments for which Hunter offered no real work. Here's an overview by investigative journalist Peter Schweizer. And yet, during all of 2020, the FBI and other law enforcement agencies repeatedly primed Joe Roth to dismiss reports of Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian hack and leak operation. This is from a sworn declaration by Roth given in December 2020. Let's read it. Alright, since 2018, I have regular meetings with the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry peers regarding election security. During these weekly meetings, the federal law enforcement agency communicated that they expect hack and leak operations by state actors might occur in the period shortly before the 2020 presidential election, likely in October. I was told in these meetings that the intelligence community expected that individuals associated with political campaigns would be subject to hacking attacks, and that material obtained through those hacking attacks will likely be dismissed over social media platforms, including Twitter. These expectations of hacking and leak operations were discussed through 2020. I also learned in these meetings that there were rumors that a hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. They did the same to Facebook. According to CEO Mark Zuckerberg, the FBI basically came to us and was like, hey, you should be on high alert. We thought there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. There's about to be some kind of dump similar to that. Where the FBI are warnings of a Russian hack and leak relating to Hunter Biden based on any new intel. No, they weren't. Through investigations, we did not see any similar competing intrusions to what happened in 2016, admitted FBI agent Elvis Chan in November. All right. Okay, yeah, I'm going to blow this up. Okay, 2020 in 2020, the 2020 election, is that right? For these If USG industry meetings, yes. Were hack and dump operations discussed at these meetings, or hacking leak operations? Yes, they were. Tell me what was discussed about them at these meetings. The context of hack and dump is that what was the FBI and CISA doing prevent hack and dump operations. So from the FBI side, I think I already relayed to you that we had the Protective Voices initiative. I can't remember the specifics, but CISA also discussed its cybersecurity awareness efforts as well as grants efforts with the state, county, and local level of election officials. Did anyone at these meetings tell the industry participants to expect a Russian hack and dump operation or hacking leak operation shortly before the 2020 election cycle? Lacks foundation. The witness, from my recollection, I remember that the FBI warned that I or someone from the FBI warned the social media companies about the potential for 2016 style DNC. Hack and dump operation. By Mr. Sawyer, what exactly did you say to the social media companies about that? Essentially, what I just told you. You said that there might be a Russian hack and dump operation. So what I said was, although we have not seen any computer intrusions into national level political committees or elected officials or presidential candidates at this time, we may ask you to remain vigilant about the potential for hack and dump operations, or something to that effect. Did you specifically refer to the 2016 hack and dump operation that targeted the DCCC and the DNC? I believe I did. Did you provide any basis to the social media platforms for thinking that such an operation might be coming? My basis was it had happened once, and it could happen again. Did you have any specific information other than it happened 4 years earlier? Objection is in so far the answer calls for the law enforcement professional information. You can answer, if you can, without divulging the law enforcement profession as to any particular investigation, the witness. Through our investigations, we did not see any similar competing intrusions to what happened in 2016. So although from our standpoint we had not seen anything, we specifically, in abundance of caution, warned the companies in case they saw something that we did not. Sawyer said, did you ask the companies if they had seen any attempts at intrusions or unauthorized access? This is something that I regularly ask the companies in the course of our meetings. Did you ask them in these meetings? Not at every meeting, but I believe I asked them at some meetings. And did you repeatedly warn that at these meetings that you anticipated there might be hack and dump operations Russian initiated? Objection in vague assumes facts not on the record. So I repeatedly would say, can you ask your question like, what do you mean by repeatedly, like 100 times, 5 times? Well, did you do it more than once? I did it more, yes. I warned the companies about a potential for hack and dump operations from the Russians and the Iranians on more than one occasion, although I cannot recollect how many times. Did anybody else at the FBI talk about hack and dump Russian operations? From my recollection, other senior officials, to include Section Chief Dimlow, likely mentioned the possibility of hack and dump operations. Do you remember Section Chief Dimlow mentioning it? I said that I believe she mentioned it on at least one occasion. What did she say? And it goes on. Indeed, Twitter has repeatedly reported very little Russian activity. On September 24, 2020, Twitter told FBI it had removed 345 largely inactive accounts linked to previous coordinated Russian hacking attempts. They had little reach and low follower accounts. Hi, Elvis. We hope you are well. Okay, no, I'm not covering anything. That's good. We want to let you know about actions that we plan to publicly announce in the next hour. As you are aware, we are working with you and Facebook to permanently suspend accounts we can reliably attribute to Russia. Thank you for ongoing cooperation and information sharing. We are removing 2 distinct networks of accounts which we can reliably attribute to state-linked entities in Russia. Our investigations are ongoing. The first network of accounts, totaling approximately 345, were largely inactive, and we are linked to previous coordinated Russian hacking attempts. Most of the content shared by these accounts express views designed to advance Russia's geopolitical interests. The second network of accounts, totaling approximately 10, purported to be associated with a website called United World International, which publishes a range of content about current global and U.S. political issues. Links to the United World International will be blocked on Twitter, under our safe links policy detailed here. The accounts included in this enforcement action had little reach and low enforcement or follower accounts. We plan to send you FITF relevant information at the conclusion of our investigation. Please let us know if you have any questions. All right. In fact, Twitter debunked false claims by journalists of foreign influence on its platform. We haven't seen any evidence to support that claim. By news of foreign-controlled bots, our review thus far shows a small domestic troll effort. Out of an abundance of caution, I wanted to reach out to you about this news story. The second part of the article focuses on the DBC blackout campaign and is potential to being driven by foreign-controlled bots. Anything we should be aware of concerning this topic? Thanks. Hi Elvis, we haven't seen any evidence to support that claim. Our review thus far shows small-scale domestic troll effort that was simplified in some creative ways by real people, but not a significant bot or foreign angle. Yo. And it says, white nationalist group opposing a sativa call for violence on Twitter. After FBI asks about what this was from the CNBC News, by the way, guys. So, after FBI asked about Wapo's story on alleged foreign influence in pro-Trump tweet, Twitter Raw says the article that makes a lot of insinuations, but we saw no evidence that was the case here. And in fact, a lot of strong evidence pointing out in the other direction. Hi, Elvis. I came across the following article in the Washington Post that referenced Twitter's removal of the account when demoed to Rep due to policy violations. According to the article, on the evening of the Republican National Convention, prominent African Americans challenged allegations of racism against President Trump and retweeted the following message 22,000. Furthermore, the message amassed 39,000 likes within 19 hours after it was posted. I've been a Democrat my whole life. I joined the BLM protest months ago when they began. They opened my eyes wide. I didn't realize I became a Marxist. It happened without me even knowing it. I'm done with this trash. I'll be registering Republican. At the time of the suspension, was Twitter able to attribute this account and any of this activity to any particular country? In addition, did the aforementioned account or any other suspended accounts post similar messages related to the convention upcoming 2020 U.S. elections? Thank you in advance. Hi, Elvis. Thanks for checking in. I can confirm that the account in question is domestic in origin. The article makes a lot of insinuations about foreign interference, but we saw no evidence that it was the case here. In fact, a lot of strong evidence pointing into the opposite direction. Yo. It's not the first time that Twitter's Roth was pushed back against the FBI. In 2020, Roth resisted FBI efforts to get to Twitter to share data outside the normal search warrant process. Oh, by the way, this is also black voters are being targeted in disinformation campaigns, echoing the 2013 Russian playbook. My colleagues at the fort had a query for you. I provided it to you below. A few years ago, Twitter said they would no longer provide their data feed to members of the IC. My colleagues wanted to know if that policy has changed or if you would be willing to change it. My colleagues are currently contracting with a vendor for an analytic tool for open source intelligence, only publicly available data. The commercial version of this tool includes the Twitter data feed. However, the feed was disabled because the vendor said they did not want to violate their terms of service with Twitter. My colleagues are wondering if Twitter would be open to revising its terms of service to allow this vendor to continue having access to the Twitter feed. My colleagues are happy to meet in person and discuss this issue with you if you like. I hope you have a great holiday. Regards, Elvis. This communication contains neither recommendations nor conclusions of the FBI. It is property out of the FBI and is loaned to your agency. It and its contents or attachments are not to be shared outside your agency. Hey, as discussed here to my central response, of course, feel free to tweak, edit, but I tried to hit on the major points. At this point, we do not think a call directly with your colleague at the fort is the path forward. As a rule, we are not able to directly discuss licensing requirements with third parties, such as the customers of our customers, data customers. Of our data customers, both due to confidentiality reasons and limited information on our end about the business decisions that may have led one of our customers to decline to provide service to the government. We also have a long-standing policy prohibiting the use of our data products and APIs for surveillance and intelligence gathering purposes, which we would not deviate from. Ultimately, we want to be good partners to the government and help combat our shared threats. But the best path for NCA or any part of government to request from about Twitter users or their content is in accordance with valid legal process. Thanks, y'all. The time again, FBI asked Twitter for evidence of foreign influence, and Twitter responds that they weren't finding anything worth reporting. We haven't yet identified that activity we specifically refer to you, or even flag as interesting in the foreign including context. So we have this here. We're continuing to closely monitor the situation, and I haven't yet seen anything. Okay, so we have that. At this stage, my team's findings have largely been that base trolling groups are behind some of the on-platform violative activity and misleading information we've seen. While much of this violates our terms of service, we haven't yet identified activity that we typically refer to you or even flag as interesting in the foreign influence context. We're still investigating some of the new developments this morning involving anonymous, such as Death Eaters, which have been focused on a resurfacing of old Jeffrey Epstein related court documents. As always, if there's anything you become aware of that might be interesting, please feel free to flag to us. Any source of signal on these issues is much appreciated. Thanks. Redacted. Hi Elvis and team. Wanted to briefly follow up on this one following our review. First, I want to apologize for any confusion here. A tolling bug on our end resulted in one of the documents not being correctly enrolled in our authenticity checks, which why you saw it online even after the others came down. We fixed the issue. Beyond that, to the extent FITF is able to share any information about sourcing of these accounts, even at a very high level, source from USD information, source from researchers outside USD who do not have access to classified information, etc., it would be much appreciated. While the accounts show some signs of inauthenticity, they weren't so clear-cut on our end that they trigger a proactive referral of associated accounts or content to the Bureau. We don't at this time have clear indication they are of foreign origin. I recognize that the Bureau's ability to share outsourcing information in these cases can be constrained, but anything you're able to share that might help further our investigation here could potentially enable additional review and sharing on our side. Thanks. Despite Twitter's pushback, the FBI repeatedly requires information from Twitter that Twitter has already been made clear it will not share outside the normal legal channels. Sorry about the delay. In terms of VLP usage, Twitter requires people registering on an account to confirm either an email address or a phone number. And in course of using Twitter, we may require account holders to confirm a phone number if we detect any indications of suspicious activity originating from their accounts. Several of the phone numbers we observed associated with these accounts appear to be linked to VLP phone providers, a relatively common tactic for obtaining phone numbers for the purpose of account information. As for the VPN information, after consulting with Redacted, we would need legal process to provide further information about the IP, subnets, providers, etc., associated with the authentic IPs from these accounts. Thanks. So. My apologies, guys. Then, in July 2020, the FBI's Elvis Chang arranges temporary top security clearances for Twitter executives so that the FBI can share information about the threats to the upcoming elections. Since I bought the security clearances during our call, I don't think we have anyone at Twitter who has permanent security clearance. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I would propose is that 30 days out from election, we get temporary clearances. You get to pick who they would be. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Regards, Elvis. On August 11, 2020, the FBI's Chen shares information with Twitter's Roth relating to the Russian hacking organization ATPT-28 through the FBI's secure one-way communications channel Teleporter. I've got more information to share with you via Teleporter. You'll see email from it shortly, so you can download the document. Thanks. Akon. In advance of this week's meeting, I'm going to be sending you documents through an FBI application called Teleporter. You will get a link from the email, which will expire in 24 hours. Please download the documents when you get a chance. The documents will denote the actors, so I'm providing them here. So it gives you the stuff here. Soundworm, we will be discussing A and B, but don't have anything additional to foresee at this point. Thanks. Recently, Yo Roth told Kara Swisher that she had been primed to think about the Russian hacking group of ATP-28 before the news of Hunter Biden laptop came out. When it did, Roth said it sets off every angle one of finely tuned APTA-28 hack and leap campaign alarm bells. In August 2020, FBI's Chan asked Twitter, does anyone have top secret clearance? When someone mentions Jim Baker, Chan responds, I don't know how I forgot him. An odd claim, given Chan's job to monitor Twitter, not to mention that they work together at the FBI. I don't know how I forgot Baker is there now. Yes, he would be perfect. Can you put us in touch with him? We're trying to nail down a date and time to provide briefing. I'm hoping there will be an unclassified tier line and that can be shared as well. Thanks. It goes on, this communication okay. So far, it doesn't really say much of anything. Hi, Elvis. Yes, we have two people with Jim Baker work. Let me know. Okay, it goes exactly, but maybe 2 months. How often do you talk to her? Maybe on a quarterly basis. Have you ever discussed with Mr. Sterzak or Mr. Page about the prospect of a Russian hack and leak operation? No. The only investigation that I ever discussed with either of them was the Yahoo hack investigation. Do you know anyone else associated with the Crossfire Hurricane investigation? No, but I do want to add during those meetings that I had with Mr. Straczek, Mr. Jim Baker, who was our general counsel at the time, would attend some of those meetings as well. Mr. Baker would attend those meetings that you had with Mr. Strzok about the Yahoo hack. At least some of them. Who else would attend those meetings? Just the 3 of them. It would be the 3 of them getting a status update from they would be getting a status update from me. A case point of the Yahoo investigation. Who is Jim Baker? Who is former general counsel of the FBI and one of the most powerful men in the U.S. intel community. Baker has moved in and out of government for 30 years, serving stints at CNN, Bridgewater, Entrepreneur Bennett, Simon, and Brookings. So as all this stuff here, I'm not going to go over exactly all this, guys, because this video is very long as it is. So obviously, I will put this in the description here, and you guys will get to see all of it. So don't worry. As general counsel of the FBI, Baker played a central role in making the case internally for an investigation of Donald Trump. It goes on to say Baker wasn't the only senior FBI executive involved into the Trump investigation to go to Twitter. Don Byrne, the former deputy chief of staff to the FBI head James Comey, who initiated the investigation of Trump, joined Twitter in 2019 as director of strategy. As of 2020, there was many former FBI employees, Paul Omni, working at Twitter that they had created their own private sector channel on board of the new FBI arrivals. Hey Jim, so excited you are here. I'm no longer the newest Balam. Here's the blue to Twitter translation chart. I mentioned adding Dawn so she can add correct. She can add it correct. Again, welcome. Super pumped to work with you again. Gives you all the stuff here. Efforts continue to influence Twitter's Yoel Roth. In September 2020, Roth presented as being introduced in tabletop exercise. On a potential hack and dump operation relating to Hunter Biden, the goal was to shape how the media covered it and how social media covered it. The organizer was Vivian Schiller, from the former CEO of NPR, former head of news at Twitter, former manager of New York Times, former chief editor of NBC News, and entities include Meta, FB's head of security policy, and then the top NAT security reporter at New York Times, and others. By mid-September 2020, Chan Roth had set up an encrypted messaging network so employees from FBI could communicate. They also agreed to create a virtual room for all internet entities, plus the FBI and Omni National Intelligence. Then, on September 15th, 2020, the FBI's Lord Demlow, who leads up the Foreign Influence Task Force, and Elvis Chen requested to give a classified briefing for Jim Baker, without any Twitter staff, as Yoel Roth. Hi, Jim, and I think this might be Yoel, but I could be mistaken. I hope all is well. Can you help Lord Demlow and Elvis Chen of the FBI schedule a classified briefing for Jim? They would like to meet early next week, if possible. Thank you. On October 14th, shortly after New York Post publishes Hunter Biden laptop story, Roth says it isn't clearly violative of how our hack materials policy, nor is it clearly in violation of anything else, but adds this feels a lot like somewhat subtle leak operation. Hey, redacted. Thanks. We're aware of this and we're tracking closely. At this time, given the alleged provenance of the materials that laptop mysteriously chopped off at a repair shop in Delaware, it isn't clearly violative of our hack materials policy, nor is it clearly in violation of anything else. That said, the questionable origins here are obviously causing a lot of people to make references to 2016, and my personal view on this, unsaturated by hard evidence yet, is that if this feels a lot like a somewhat subtle leak operation. We'll be developing a recommendation for what, if anything, we want to do over the course of the day today. In response to Roth, Baker repeatedly says that the Hunter Biden materials were either faked, hacked, or both, in a violation of Twitter policy. Baker does some over email and then Google documents on October 14th. One additional comment. I've seen some reliable security folks question the authenticity of the emails in another way. I.e., there is no metadata pertaining to them that has been released, and the formatting looks like they could be complete fabrications. So it's going over here. So there's not much really going on over there. And yet, it's conceivable Baker believed the Hunter Biden emails were either fake or hacked. The New York Post had concluded a picture of the receipt signed by Hunter Biden, and an FBI subpoena showed that the agency had taken possession of the laptop in December 2019. As for the FBI, it likely would have been taken a few hours for it to confirm that the laptop had belonged to Hunter Biden. Indeed, it only took a few days for journalists to prove it. By 10 a.m., Twitter had bought into a wild hack and dump story. The suggestion from experts, which rings true, is there was a hack that happened just separately, and they loaded the hack materials on the laptop that magically appeared at a repair shop in Delaware. Hi, folks. Lots of good discussion of this case in the doc, sharing a bit of additional context about why we're recommending this action. The key factor informing our approach is consensus from experts monitoring election security, and just information that this looks a lot like a hack and leak that learned from 2016 WikiLeaks approach and our policy changes. The suggestion from experts, which rings true, is there was a hack that happened separately, and they loaded the hack materials on the laptop that magically appeared at a repair shop in Delaware, and was coincidentally reviewed in a very evasive way by someone who coincidentally then landed the materials to Rudy Giuliani. Given the severe risk we saw in this space in 2016, we're recommending a warning plus de-amplification pending further information. If additional information emerges that establishes the origins of the materials more conclusively, we would either reverse this action and remove the warning, or escalate our enforcement should it cross the line fully into hacked materials. We recognize that the product experience of the warning label is less than ideal. It will serve as that feedback with the experienced team again as evidence for why we need more robust URL management. Based on a discussion with Vijaya, we'll move forward with this once we get once we get sign off from comms. At 30:38 p.m. that same day, October 14th, Baker arranges a phone conversation with Jerry Perry in the Office of General Counsel of the FBI. The influence operation persuaded Twitter execs that the Hunter Biden laptop did not come from a whistleblower. One linked to an article based on Walpole article from October 15th, which falsely suggested that the joint leak of the laptop had something to do with Russia. There is evidence that FBI agents have warned elected officials of foreign influence of the primary goal of leaking the information to the news media. This is a political dirty trick used to create the perception of impropriety. In 2020, the FBI gave a briefing to Senator Grassley and Johnson claiming evidence of Russian interference into their investigation of Hunter Biden. The briefing angered the senators, who say it was done to discredit their investigation. The unnecessary FBI briefing provided the Democrats and liberal media the vehicle to spread the false narrative that are advanced Russian disinformation. Notably, then FBI General Counsel Jim Baker was investigated twice in 2017 and 2019 for leaking information to the news media. You're saying that he's under a criminal investigation, that's why you're letting him answer Meadows asked. In the end, the FBI's influence campaign aimed at executives at news, media, Twitter, and other social media companies worked. They censored and discredited the Hunter Biden laptop story. By December 2020, Baker and his colleagues ever sent a note of thanks to the FBI's work. Thanks, Angela. I'll sign as well. With scale, please prepare to draft for Sean and Timmy look at. Also, we should be mindful that the letters could leak and will be subject to FVOA, so we should prepare them with that expectation in mind. Thanks. Thank you so much, Sean. Please let me know if you would like to draft the letter, or if you would like to draft it. I really should appreciate this. I hope it all is well. The election has taken up our lives for most of this year, but certainly the past few months, Twitter has went on the front of protecting our users and the public at large. For misinformation, disinformation campaigns that had potential negatively affect the fair election process. What is not as widely known is the role Twitter played in helping the FBI track and identify violent actors who wanted to perpetrate acts of violent, domestic terrorism at polling stations and ballot counting facilities. Obviously, this work is close to hold, and we will never get public credit, but I would like to thank our FBI counterparts who worked so well with us with this election cycle. We had unprecedented national security and law enforcement response that was a result of a tight, well-coordinated partnership with the FBI that was based on trust. Would you both consider signing a letter of thanks for their willingness to partner on matters in election security, integrity, and public safety? You know all that work that was done related to China, Russia, and Iran. You might not be as familiar with the public safety work. Twitter provided information related to the kidnapping plots of the MI to I think Virginia governors, as well as the Canaanite members who drove to ballot counting facility after making public threats of violence. We had to work in real time with the FBI, and we were able to get them necessary information that prevented harm. Here's a list of those who worked with Elvis Presley, etc. The FBI's influence campaign may have helped by the fact that it was paying Twitter millions of dollars for staff time. I'm happy to report we have collected $3,414,000 since October 2019. Reports on the social of Jim Baker in the Georgia 2021. All right. Just for your information, just FYI, 2019 scale entered a reimbursement program for our legal process. Response from the FBI. Prior to the start of the program, Twitter closed not to collect under the statutory right of reimbursement for the time spent processing requests from the FBI. I'm happy to report we have collected the one that I've reported before. And the pressure from the FBI on social media platforms continues. In August 2022, Twitter excited to prepare a meeting with the FBI whose goal was to convince us to produce more evident FBI EDRs. EDRs are emergency disclosure requests, warrants of speech. In response to the Twitter files revelation of high-level FBI agents at Twitter said, I have concerns about whether the government was mirroring misinformation operation on we the people. Anyone who reads Twitter files, regardless of political affiliation, should share those concerns. All right, guys. That's it. So, yeah, the FBI concluded with the Biden thing. They censored pretty much. They interfered with the. They interfered pretty heavily with the election. So, yeah, it seems the FBI needs to be completely abolished, obliterated, and something else needs to take hold because the FBI is not it. The FBI has caused an immense problem, huge amount of damage, and the FBI needs to be held accountable. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.